All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is. It is 8:30 p.m. on the east and 5:30 p.m. on the west, and we have none other than the real Smokesta of Spice One's Thug World Music Group. How are you doing this evening?
Man, I'm doing good, man. Just ready to get to some of this music, guy.
Hey man, most definitely. But I gotta ask you, man. I know you're a very busy guy, so I ain't gonna keep you too long. But I gotta ask you, man, what made you decide to get into the music industry initially?
Um, just some personal struggles with myself. I love the craft of music. Hip hop showed me a way to express myself when I didn't know how. So that's my vessel that I use to get some of the frustration and understanding and what I don't understand out.
And that's a great way to do it, man. And that's how a lot of the great hip hop legends actually did it themselves.
Right, right. Like Nas, Biggie, Tupac, um, those guys there. I look up to them.
And also, as we already know, you're signed to Spice One's Thug World Music Group. But I have to ask you, how did that record deal come to be for you, and how did getting signed under Spice One happen, man? Because that's a huge accomplishment for any hip hop artist.
Well, I was already on a couple of his projects that we have for independent artists. And one day I just hit him up and I was asking him what kind of opportunities do we have. And he hit me back and he said he had one for me if I was willing to invest in myself. Because he already knew that as an independent artist, I was already grinding on my own. I was already handling things that, most teams can't do just by myself. So he was already impressed by that. So it wasn't nothing to get a deal.
And I have to say though, man, when Spice One actually provided you that contract, what was the feeling signing that, man? Did you have the feeling of like, yo, man, I made it, like Spice fucking won, man?
Um, yeah, at first I was really excited, but it's at the end of the day, man, it's all business. I still got to prove myself. I still got to live up to all the potentials and things that he expects from me. So at this point, it's nothing to celebrate just yet. We still got a lot of work to do, and I'm going through a lot of development and things like that. It's just like this is my freshman year. Well, we still got my sophomore, junior, and by the time it's my senior year, that's when a big project is gonna be ready.
And also, you were featured on Spice One's highly praised completion, The United Underground of America. I have to ask you, what was it like working on that project with Spice?
Yeah, that was one of the projects I was talking about that he put me on about 2 years ago, and man, we just kind of took off from there, man. And he did volume 2, and I was on that too. And like I said, man, we just took off.
And another great one you did with him as well is this is Thug World, man. I actually after you submitted your song Hands to us, man, I really looked into more stuff that you did, and I have to say the work you did on this is Thug World is actually like one of my favorite pieces of work by you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Hands is it's something different than I usually do, but I'm also a conscious artist too. So I try to be realistic in covering a lot of things. Some of those topics, a lot of artists they kind of shy away from those because those are topics that hit home. But it's a lot of those things that go on. So I want to make sure that that was heard.
And speaking of Hands, man, I think I told you this personally as well. But when you submitted that song, man, I actually love that track, man. I listen to that on my free time, man. And I have to say, dude, that song it's so much different than what you hear nowadays from hip hop artists, man. Like it's hard to explain, man. But I look at it this way, and sum it down a little bit. I look at it as you bring the melody back to the hip hop, man. Like that song kind of reminds me of like a modern day Bone Thugs type track, man. I really do enjoy that song.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was one of the songs that I've been working on for a while. So I want to definitely give a different perspective, not trying to change
do want to let you know, actually, directly after this interview, I already have that pending. So the moment we get off the air, that song's actually going to be playing for the live audience. So people, if you haven't heard it, make sure you stick around. And if you like it, support the real Smokesta and make sure you purchase it.
That's right. That's right. From the one on it, DJ Immortal.
Hey man, you already know, and I appreciate also all the love that you've been giving the radio station, man, like by submitting music, sharing our posts, man. I really do want to say thank you so much for supporting what I do. It's an absolute honor.
Right, and I appreciate you guys for having me on.
And the one thing I saw that really hit close to home personally with me was I noticed that on your Instagram that you have domestic violence awareness apparel available. I have to ask you, what type of merch do you have available, and of course, where did the inspiration come from behind that clothing line?
It came from the song Hands. You know, I'm trying to continue the campaign, man. Stop domestic violence. It ain't just a song. It's real life, and I definitely want to bring in a life in my apparel too.
And if you don't mind me asking, before we move off the topic of Hands, like, is that song based on like a personal life experience with you?
Not personally, but I have seen so many people go through that myself, and normally you would think that it's women going through it, but you have guys that go through it too. You know, you have some aggressive women out here too. So, and I want to show that too. That, it ain't just about women, it's about everybody. And, anybody can be damaged.
And I do want to say, man, just thank you for making a song like that. Because me personally, I never really aired this live on my own radio, but I've actually been a victim of domestic violence, man. My ex-girlfriend beat my head in so bad that I actually have a fractured skull, man. So people like you that's bringing awareness to that type of stuff, man, I want to say thank you, because it's not only defending what I've been through, but also everybody else's that's too scared to actually, bring it up and actually tell the world, like, hey, I was abused.
Right. And that's the whole point of the song, is to make people comfortable coming out their shell, let them know, hey, it's all right. You ain't the only one that's been through that. But let's get some help for that. You can do better than that.
And I also saw on your website that you did a song called On the Run One More Time with OG Mako. I have to ask you, how did you get connected with OG, and what's the story behind that track?
OG Mako is a personal friend of mine. He's also from a group that I'm also a part of called Major Grind Entertainment, located out of Temple, Texas. Of course, that's where I'm from, Temple, Texas. Shout out to Temple, Texas. But it was one of those songs that, being on the run, a lot of people probably can relate to that. There was times when I definitely was on the run from law enforcement, and, he could relate to it too. So, we just try to get some insight on that, not trying to boast about it or anything like that, but, give an inside scoop of how it is to feel like on the run. And definitely from, some of the things that have been going on lately with law enforcement to the point where you don't have to do anything wrong to be on the run. You could be running from the law, being in the right. So, it's just one of those deals.
And also, your album, Solid, features some of Houston, Texas' brightest stars. Can you tell us a bit more about that album? And of course, where can our listeners buy or stream themselves a copy of that one?
Oh, Solid is a project that I did back in 2018. I did that project in Houston, and the time I was living in Houston. This was the time when Houston was going through the hurricane issue and so forth, and that also affected my kid's mother and my kids. So that's where that inspiration came from. Because I was definitely down there with them in the mix. So that's how that city, where that album Solid came about.
And I know it's been a couple years, but do you have any hard copies available for the old school listeners that would like to hit you up and snag one?
Oh, I got copies forever. I keep copies. I'm an old school artist, so I still believe in physical copies. And if they would like to purchase that, they can purchase that on my website, www.realsmoster.com.
So guys, if you want some Real Smokesta merch and some CDs, make sure you hit him up on the website he just said. Get yourself some merch, get yourself some CDs, support the real and support one of hip hop's finest.
That's right.
And speaking of that, man, there's another album that they can actually buy actually very soon, man, coming September 15th. I saw that you were working on an EP. Can you tell us a bit more about that EP and of course, what can we expect from that up and coming release?
Um, this EP, September 13th, is in honor of my daughter. That's actually her birthday. And I thought it was going to be released on the 15th, but due to some difficulties with some of the songs and being placed out, that it got pushed back. It's going to be pushed back to November. There'll be a day in November where they'll be released. And yeah, it's just one of those EPs where it's just another side of me. I basically just expressing my vulnerabilities. I think sometimes we focus so much on our strengths or what we call real or whatever. And I think being vulnerable to a lot of things, that's real too.
And so, Real Smokes, I have to ask you, what is next for you? Is there anything I happen to miss during this interview? Anything else you still want to promote? We still have you here live on the radio station?
Yes. Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Real Smokesta, at Twitter at Real Smokesta, everywhere at Real Smokesta. So, yeah, make sure you guys follow that. So much more coming from me.
And before we wrap things up, man, I gotta ask, man, is there anybody you want to give shout outs to? When we still have you here on the line, and of course, man, if you can drop your website one more time, that way individuals can have enough time to grab a pen and paper or write that down, man, so they can actually tune into your website and snag themselves some merch.
All right, that's www.realsmoster.com.
But I want to say, Smokesta, again, man, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening and coming on the radio station, man. It truthfully was an honor and most definitely a privilege. And come November, man, when your new EP does get released, if you need any extra promotion, don't hesitate to hit me up, man. We'll get you back on, and we'll most definitely make sure the world knows about that record.
Cool, and I definitely appreciate you guys at Outlaw Radio, DJ Immortal, and I definitely will be back.
Most definitely. Whenever you need it, just let me know, man. We got you. Thank you so much again, Smokes. Have yourself a wonderful night, and most definitely try and stay safe out there during this terrible pandemic.